Jason Bourne without Matt Damon feels like Batman without the cape. Sure, Jeremy Renner gave it a shot in the Bourne Legacy, but Damon is the soul of this franchise. On The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Damon dropped hints that he'd love to be part of the project. Damon admitted, "I'm not getting any younger," which feels like his way of saying, "I'm game, but don't expect me to leap off buildings like it's 2002. And can you blame him? The man's given us 4 incredible Bourne performances. Still, he sounded genuinely hopeful. He mentioned Berger had an idea for the franchise, and Damon seemed pretty excited about it. If there's anyone who could breathe new life into Bourne, it's probably Berger. Variety reported last November that the project was in the very early stages. No script, no screenwriter, and no guarantees about Damon or Renner's involvement. So while fans are crossing their fingers for Bourne to return, we might be waiting a while. The big question is, will Damon pass the torch, or is he ready for one last mission? Looking at the directors who've shaped this series, Berger has some big shoes to fill. Doug Liman set the tone with the Bourne identity. Paul Greengrass gave us 3 of the franchise's best films, and Tony Gilroy brought a fresh angle with the Bourne Legacy. If Berger joins this lineup, he'll be in elite company. For fans like me who followed every car chase, memory flashback, and tense fight scene, the wait feels endless. So why the delay? Well, Berger's schedule is packed. He's juggling multiple projects, including Conclave and The Ballad of a Small Player, which will keep him busy until next summer. That's a polite way of saying Bourne 6 isn't even on my radar right now. But there's more to it than just a packed calendar. Berger admits he hasn't cracked the code for what could make Bourne 6 worth the hype. And that's fair, right? The Bourne franchise isn't your run-of-the-mill action series. It set a standard with Paul Greengrass at the helm and Matt Damon in the lead. Berger knows that trying to top or even match that isn't easy. In his words, it's a very high hurdle to jump over. Translation: if he can't make it amazing, he won't bother. That's respectable, but also a bit of a bummer for those of us itching for more. Now let's talk about Matt Damon. Will he return? The short answer? Not unless the story is worth his time. Damon isn't in this for the paycheck, he's made that clear. Berger hinted that any hope of Damon reprising his role depends on a new agenda that gives the character depth and purpose. Damon doesn't need another rooftop jump or car chase. He needs a compelling inner journey. No good story? No Damon. And honestly, I respect that. But Berger hasn't exactly been shy about his uncertainty. He's openly admitted that the project doesn't have a clear direction yet. It's refreshing to hear that level of honesty, but it also makes me wonder if Bourne 6 will ever see the light of day. Berger clearly has the chops. His work on All Quiet on the Western Front proves he can breathe life into well-trodden ground. But can he do the same for Bourne? However, when I think about Jason Bourne, I see a man with no memory but every lethal skill intact, outsmarting a shady CIA program determined to silence him. But did you know that bringing the Bourne identity to life was as chaotic as one of Bourne's fight scenes? This 2002 action classic, which rewrote the rules of the genre, nearly didn't make it out of development hell. Doug Liman, the indie filmmaker behind Swingers, was the driving force behind this passion project. The guy literally flew through mountain valleys in a tiny plane to secure the rights from author Robert Ludlum. And no, this wasn't just a casual flight. It involved dodging clouds and mountains, like a live-action video game. Ludlum was so impressed that he handed over the rights. But Lyman's journey didn't end there. Convincing Universal Pictures to let him direct a big-budget spy thriller was another uphill battle. Stacy Snyder, Universal's chairman at the time, saw potential in pairing an indie filmmaker with a big studio genre. Risky? Sure, but what's a spy story without some daring moves? Then came Matt Damon. Hard to imagine now, but in the early 2000s, he wasn't the action hero we know today. Casting him as Jason Bourne raised eyebrows. Could the Good Will Hunting guy really pull off a brooding assassin? Damon had his doubts too, especially when the script went through so many rewrites, it might as well have been a CIA mission file. Screenwriter Tony Gilroy initially shaped the story into a character-driven drama, but then came the studio's demands for over-the-top action. A subway derailing scene? Motorcycles firing rockets? Even Damon was ready to walk away. Thankfully, Gilroy returned to strip out the absurdity and refocus on what made the story tick. Bourne's internal struggle and gritty realism. The chaos didn't end there. Lyman clashed with the studio, and the test screenings were a disaster. The ending had to be reworked, which added to the behind-the-scenes tension. But, against all odds, the Bourne Identity hit theaters and became a smash hit. It didn't just make Bourne a household name, it reinvented action movies, inspiring countless imitators. Lyman had a habit of letting his creativity run wild, coming up with new story ideas mid-production. That approach might have worked on smaller projects, but now he was steering a $60 million ship for Universal, and veteran producer Frank Marshall had to keep things on track. Needless to say, this didn't go down smoothly. Lyman had a dream, to create something as iconic as a James Bond or Mission Impossible movie. But that dream came with anxiety. He even admitted how the sound of someone's phone ringing with the Mission Impossible theme rattled him on set. It's hard to focus when you're worried your work won't measure up to the giants of the genre. And then came his bold filmmaking style. Lyman introduced innovative handheld camera work, a choice that became the signature of the Bourne Identity. But behind the scenes, chaos brewed. At one point, he spent crew overtime to light up a forest just to play paintball. Universal wasn't exactly thrilled, and Matt Damon had to step in as a middleman, pitching Lyman's ideas to the studio so they wouldn't get dismissed outright. But one scene left Lyman out of his comfort zone. It wasn't the high-stakes chases or brutal fight sequences. It was the intimate moment between Jason Bourne and Marie. This was where Bourne's humanity peeked through the tough exterior. Lyman had sold Universal on the idea of dating Jason Bourne, but he was terrified about pulling it off. Thankfully, Franca Potente came to the rescue, offering shots of Jägermeister to calm everyone's nerves. The result? A tender emotional scene that perfectly balanced Bourne's rawness with vulnerability. If that wasn't enough drama, Universal almost axed Clive Owen's pivotal death scene as the Professor. Lyman, undeterred, grabbed the camera himself to shoot the footage he needed. And that's all for today's video. Please make sure to click the thumbs up to like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon for notifications to stay updated on all things Bourne. Let us know in the comments section below. What do you want to see in Bourne 6? See you in the next video.